I'm Thomas Albin.
I'm Justin Shelton.
Austin Endress.
Kara Myers.
Viktors Lackajs.
And I'm Dean Colmone.
And we're doing a financial analysis on Horniman Horticulture. Horniman Horticulture is a family-owned wholesale nursery located in Lynchburg, Virginia. It was purchased by Bob and Maggie Brown in 2002 for $999,000. Their primary customer base is retail nurseries located in the Mid-Atlantic region. They specialize in woody shrubs. They also offer annuals, perennials, trees. Their business operation consists of 52 greenhouses located on 40 acres. They have 12 full-time employees and 15 seasonal.
Now I will be discussing the operational management. There's three main ones. The first one is maturation of product offering. What this means is that they hold on to their plants longer and allows them to mature. So instead of like waiting for them to grow and watering them every day and taking care of them, they have been doing this so that instantly, like if a new homeowner wants to purchase something, they can instantly get that. So instant landscaping. And with that, you could charge a higher price because of the maturing of the product and trying to differentiate from other types of businesses in there. With the premium, that's how you can increase sales and profitability. With higher prices, usually that results in higher revenues. And with the premium as well, you get a lower cost of goods sold and higher margins. And if you take a look at the graph here, you can see how in 2002 it was about 800,000, and it's just progressed ever since they started doing this. And then also there's the enhanced payment terms, and so what that does is it allows the customers to make payments in a longer period. So the average receivable days for the company is 50, and as you can see on the graph, the benchmark for it is 21 days. And with this larger increase in sales, they can reach out to smaller nurseries. The third and final implemented operational management is expedited supplier payment. So what that is there's a 10 and a 30-day period, and if they pay back everything within that 10 days, they could get a 2% discount. And if not, then they have to just pay it off in the standard time, which is 30 days. And with the expedited supplier payment, it decreases the cost of goods sold and increases the profitability.
Okay, so taking a look at the overall financial performance of the company, they've seen 4 consecutive years of revenue growth since 2002 when operations began. In 2002, they started with $778,000 in sales. And in the most recent year, 2005, they had $1.048 million, which was a 34% increase in sales. In those sales in 2002, and with that 30% projected growth rate for 2006, they are looking at a $1.363 million sales, and that would be a 75% increase in sales over the 2002. Compared to the industry, as you can see, the industry benchmark is actually negative 1.8%. And in 2004, they had a growth rate of 12.5%, which is 14.3% higher than that benchmark. In 2005, they had a growth rate of 12.5 or 15.5%, which is 17.3% over that benchmark. And then again, with that 30% projected growth rate for 2006, that shows a 31.8% increase over that benchmark. So the drivers behind this increasing growth rate is due to the product differentiation, that instant landscaping that is attractive to those small nursery businesses. They're willing to pay a higher price, which in turn leads to an increase in sales. Also, the enhanced financing terms, which also increases those sales.
Horniman's Horticulture has been highly profitable since 2002. Their gross and operating margins have both increased by 3.1 percentage points, and their net margin has also increased by 1.7 percentage points. There's a graph for net profitability. The green line represents the industry benchmark. As you can see, they are above the industry benchmark by 2 percentage points in 2005, and for 2006 they are projected to be above it by 3.3 percentage points. Their profitabilities are driven from the premium product that they have, from letting their inventory mature, and it is also from their expedited payment plan where they save 2% on the cost of goods sold.
Alright, so I'm going to discuss the financial performance analysis of the firm's fixed assets as well as the firm's capital. The firm's assets as well as capital has increased by 60% since 2002. This is due to them operating more efficiently. Their return on assets have actually increased by a 1.9 percentage point since 2002. The return on capital has increased by 2.2 percentage point since 2002. And in comparison to the industry benchmark, the return on assets have actually performed 75% higher than the industry benchmark, as well as the return on capital has performed with 35% higher than the industry benchmark. Some causes for this is an increase in sales. Their profitability has actually outpaced their capital expenditures, as well as their receivable policy, and all of the premiums that they're getting paid for the mature landscaping also contribute to their overall efficiency as a company.
Yeah, so as we've been told, the revenues have increased, return on assets, return on capital have increased. Something has to give, and what we're seeing is since 2002, receivables, inventory, and payables turnover has been deteriorating steadily. As we see from both of these graphs, in 2002, Horniman started about 41.9 days. It was still significantly above the industry benchmark. However, at that time, every single year it's increased to the point, 2005, it's currently sitting at 50.9 days receivable. If we come over here and we look at the inventory days for payables, what we're seeing, for inventory, what we're seeing is, again, when it was acquired, is about 424 days product sat in inventory. Again, now in 2005, we're seeing about 476, again, significantly above the benchmark. So we look, receivable days, again, since that acquisition date, has increased by 21%. Inventory has been held for 13% longer, and payables has actually decreased by 37%. Again, we look at the benchmark, because now we're looking at how do we compare against our competitors, how do we compare against the industry. Again, what we find is the industry benchmark for accounts receivable is about 21 days. Again, so we're significantly higher. In 2015, 2.5 times longer we have cash in receivables, and thus it's a huge hindrance on the cash flow. We look at inventory days. Again, 25% higher. Horniman is holding their plants over that industry benchmark. And finally, payable days. Horniman is paying their suppliers 2.6 times faster than the industry average. Again, this comes from allowing the landscape to mature. Again, the competitive advantage it creates. However, you are holding that longer. You're allowing it, and you're not moving it quite as quick. Your inventory turnover is longer, and therefore you're holding that asset value in inventory versus cash. We see longer payments to customers. Again, when you restructure it and you allow these smaller nurseries to have better financing terms, what the end result is again that the asset value sits in accounts receivable instead of sitting in cash, and therefore again it's a tough on your cash flow position. And finally, when you pay back suppliers, again you took the cash that you could sit in payables and keep within your firm and you gave it out. Again, there's other reasons that's been discussed, such as the 2% discount and the increased sales, but again it's been a major hindrance on some of these current asset turnover ratios.
I'm going to touch on the firm's cash position. Although revenue and profitability margins have been increasing annually, you can see where the cash position is weakening each year. As you see in this graph right here, in 2002, the cash position was $120,000, and it slowly decreased every year, and finally in the projected 2006, it is set to be a negative $169,000. This is partially due to the free cash flows of $0 since 2003, and we have a projected free cash flow of $0 again in 2006. As I said before, estimated cash position for 2006 is negative $169,000. This is partially due to the $75,000 allocated to capital expenditures. As we laid out in the graph to the right is the cash allocation since 2002, and we did so by creating a uniform credit analysis cash flow statement, which shows the sources and uses of cash throughout the year. And as you can see from that, deteriorating receivables, payables, and inventory led to the major drain of cash reserves. Over the past 5 years, cash is depleted by $110.7 thousand. This is largely due to the maturing landscape, which increased inventory and drained $188.6 thousand. Also, the enhanced customer financing increased receivables, leading to a $55.8 thousand drain.
So again, as discussed, our cash position at Horniman has suffered significantly. They went from, again, $120,000 in cash reserves in 2002 to, again, a negative projected $169,000 coming up. So again, revenues have been great, profitability has been great, but these asset turnovers, again, has put the drain on cash to the point that the firm is facing bankruptcy if operations continue in this way. So to move forward, we have prepared 5 options in which Horniman, if they take these corrective actions, can improve their cash flow position and ensure continuity of operations moving forward. Option number 1 is to decrease accounts receivable. Again, they had structured these payment terms for the customers to allow these smaller nurseries who have inventory burdens and financing constraints to be able to hold on to inventory longer without making payments for it. Well, the issue again now is that Horniman is paying the cost again on its cash position. Again, right now what we are suggesting is Horniman scale back its structure to about 21.8 days, again closer to that industry benchmark. Again, that's going to expedite cash flow through receivables about 2.5 times faster and alleviate approximately 60% of asset value currently sitting in AR within the first 2 months of 2006. Again, there's negatives with this too. This is going to reduce revenues from these smaller nurseries. Again, they depend on this. This created a competitive advantage for Horniman as they looked across their competitors. As a customer, as a small retail nursery, I look at Horniman and I say that you have the ability to give me better financing. I'll go to you. When you take that financing away, we are thus going to see those revenues decrease. And again, as we were told, that was a significant part of that revenue growth seen over these past 4 years. Option number 2 deals with inventory levels. So Bob had made the decision to allow and start selling more mature plant products. Again, as an end consumer, it has a lot better value. You don't have to wait as the plant matures in your own landscaping. You can plant it immediately and get that benefit. Therefore, these small retail nurseries were willing to pay for that premium, and therefore that premium was passed on again to Horniman. However, right now, assets represent approximately 56% of all assets in the firm, which is a significant amount for just inventory alone. What we recommend is you reduce the amount of time or you eliminate the strategy completely of maturing that inventory. That's going to lead to quicker turnover, inventory is going to be sold faster, cash will be brought into the firm at a faster rate, and again, restore that cash position. Option number 3, we're going to change the payable policy. Again, we understand there's a 2% discount associated with paying our payables quicker within that 10-day period as Horniman's done. However, again, we're looking at how can you continue operations, how can we avoid bankruptcy moving forward, and at this point, there's the option of, again, foregoing that 2%, effectively tripling the amount of time we can hold cash and payables. The negatives associated, we're going to lose the 2% discount. That's going to change our cost of goods sold. Again, product price is going to be faster. In the end, that's going to hurt our profitability margins, which, as we've seen, Horniman's be able to sustain much higher than the industry benchmark over these past few years. Option number 4 is delay the capital expenditure investment expected for 2006. Again, as mentioned, Horniman's looking at buying a 12-acre plot of land located just adjacent to one of their current properties. This will allow, again, for them to grow more plants, increase their inventory, increase their product offering. However, again, given the cash constraints, given where they've come and the depletion of cash and their current operational deficiencies, this is an option right now that will save $75,000 in this upcoming year and help restore that cash position. The negatives associated with this is, one, you're going to lose, again, the opportunity to grow all that product. You're going to lose the sales revenue that would come from that additional land to grow the product. Also, you're going to lose future opportunities. Land is not always available. It's not a commodity. And so the opportunity to buy land associated and very closely related right to your own operations creates an economy of scale that could be lost and may not be available moving into the future. The final option we've come up with is leveraging debt financing. So we just talked about CapEx. Instead of maybe foregoing that opportunity, you break Horniman's current approach to debt and you begin leveraging it for your advantage. Again, they have the ability to take out debt on this capital expenditure at 6.5%. This will allow them to make this investment in 2006, not forego those additional opportunities while still maintaining the cash position. The negatives associated with this is now you're going to be liable for debt payments. Again, whether it's monthly, quarterly, or yearly, they're going to have to make those payments. The issue is, under their current operating structure, they generate no cash flow. Again, as we saw in 2003 through 2005, as well as projected for 2006, their free cash flow is effectively zero, which means any cash they get is going into inventory, going to accounts receivable, or potentially payables. And so therefore, under this current structure, debt financing isn't even an option given their lack of cash flow.
Based on these 5 options that we have laid out for you, we've come up with 3 recommendations for the firm. The first one would be to restructure the receivable structure. We would start by moving receivables to 21.9 days, which would improve the cash position by $85,000 within the first 2 months alone. This would be a 60% reduction in the current receivables. Our second recommendation is limiting the maturation of the inventory. We would sell inventory faster and move closer towards the benchmark of 386 days. This would improve the turnover ratio as well. The third recommendation is to use debt financing for the 2006 capital expenditures. Given that recommendation 1 and 2 are implemented and Horniman's receivable and inventory turnovers can be improved, the firm will be able to make their debt payments on the loan from business operations. While we understand that implementing these recommendations will have an effect on the firm's profitability, it is necessary to create change so that Horniman's cash position can be replenished. Based on the cash projections, Horniman will be bankrupt by calendar year 2006. Thus, it becomes necessary for these recommendations to be implemented to ensure the firm's operations will continue now and for many years to come. Thank you.